Thank you, Chair. Gentlemen, pursuant to the ATIP received by Democracy Watch, I understand that literally within hours of Jody Wilson-Raybould's testimony at the Justice Committee, you were engaging in discussions with a local Crown attorney. Is that correct?
I would have said, Mr. Chair, following the review of the testimony, yes, there was some consultation.
There was a telephone call. There was actually a meeting with the Crown attorney the very next day. Is that your recollection?
It was shortly after. Sorry, Mr. Chair, I cannot remember exactly the day, but shortly after, yes, that's correct.
Did you get any sense from the Crown attorney during those initial discussions, those initial days, that there was a reluctance from the Crown Prosecution Service not to give you advice with respect to charging Justin Trudeau?
I would not go into the full detail of what discussion took place between us and the Crown in this regard, as far as for this, but yes, there was some discussion that took place shortly after. That's correct.
We know that every charge under the criminal code carries with it two elements: the actus reus, the mens rea, the act itself, the intent. Correct?
That's correct.
And are you familiar with the leading authority on obstruction of justice, Regina versus Beaudre from the Supreme Court of Canada?
I would say right now, I wouldn't know the full details, Mr.
I'm
Chair.
going to read out a couple of components. The actus reus of the offense of obstructing justice is that the act has the tendency to defeat or obstruct the course of justice. The mens rea is a specific, deliberate intent to do the act which will result in an obstruction of justice. Success is not necessary. The offense is made out even if the accused fails to succeed or fails to complete the attempt to commit the offense. Pursuant to another decision, Regina versus Watson from the Ontario Superior Court, it is no defense that the actions were an error in judgment or a mistake. With the evidence that you did receive, which largely consisted of the Ethics Committee report, the testimony of Jody Wilson-Raybould, was there an impediment of the actus reus or the mens rea to obstruction of justice?
I would have to say, Mr. Chair, when we conducted the review, I would have to say the mens rea portion of it was part of the main focus of our review.
Thank you. I left off in my first round, which was essentially talking about the evidence that we heard from Jody Wilson-Raybould, that this wasn't a one-off, that over the course of 4 months, no fewer than 11 different officials from the Prime Minister and down in a series of meetings, memos, and telephone conversations attempted by means of varying degrees of subtlety to change the AG's mind. Explicit political considerations were raised. The impact of SNC-Lavalin's conviction, job loss, and company relocation, which was later proved to be a lie, and upcoming elections, both provincially and federal. This at all times was Justin Trudeau's problems. We also have recorded evidence, not just a he said, she said, recorded evidence between Jody Wilson-Raybould and the Clerk of the Privy Council. I'm quoting here from Michael Warnock. The Prime Minister is quite determined, quite firm on this. He said that 4 times. Wants to know why the DPA route is not being used. He's going to find a way to get it done one way or another. He's in that kind of mood. This is really important to him. If that doesn't cry out for a specific intent, I don't know what does. What do you say about that?
What I have to say, Mr. Chair, is when we looked at this specific, and of course I'm referring to the quotes that were just mentioned here, but of course in the assessment, we did assess these comments were made. But again, we had to take a more global approach when we looked at all the comments that were made. So of course, our determination vis-a-vis the mens rea portion is based not only on some of the comments, but on the totality of the evidence, the totality of the statements that were made.
And the totality is the Prime Minister made this his personal mission to interfere in the criminal prosecution for his own political needs and the needs of SNC-Lavalin. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Mr. Chair, I would say that the assessment that we've conducted again, our conclusions were that there was insufficient evidence to substantiate an offence.
Do you understand why Canadians feel there's a two-level tier justice here in Canada, that the Prime Minister is immune from prosecution because he can hide behind cabinet confidences? He can commit a litany of criminal offences and just say, sorry, cabinet confidence, I'm not going to allow the RCMP to investigate. Do you understand their concerns, sir? Do you understand Canadians' concerns?
If you quick response, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As far as for this, and we're talking about like ethics and criminality here, which sometimes seems to be intertwined. But again, as I indicated earlier, we have to follow the parameters as laid out in the criminal code.
Thank you, Mr. Pensas. Mr. Braun.